A new wave of social media is growing rapidly, stating its goal is to actually connect you with your friends, and they're not using the same hyper-addictive algorithms as all the big platforms. Why? Well, social media algorithms are super good at one thing, keeping you scrolling forever. And a lot of people, me included, feel more like we're watching interdimensional television and feasting on a bounty of perma-slop than seeing what our friends have been up to. I was curious, do these new platforms actually give consumers what we want, or could slop be what we deserve? So I went to Berkeley to find out what real college students think about social media.
That's pretty brain rotty.
I think the FOMO is the biggest aspect for me.
Then I met two ex-Meta employees building contrarian consumer social apps.
We're not trying to get people addicted to our product.
Lastly, I spoke with their users to see what they actually think about this new approach to social, all to answer one question: what happens when social media has no algorithm?
Let's do it. Are you on social media?
Yes, but I'm trying to get off of it.
What platforms are you on?
Just Instagram. Instagram and TikTok.
I reinstalled Instagram.
Just Instagram.
Instagram.
It seems like everyone's on Instagram.
Instagram's the go-to place for content.
Instagram's sort of like the Gen Z Facebook. Are you on social media?
Not right now. No, not really.
87.5% of the students I spoke to at UC Berkeley said they did use social media. Of these social media users, 62% said they want to quit.
I deactivate my Instagram around final season.
I'd rather just listen to music and go for a walk.
It's kind of like a drug.
It is something that I can't put down.
More than 56% told me they believe social media was addictive. But can you build a good social media platform without an advertising engine? I polled a bunch of students just asking them their thoughts on social media. Some people are taking breaks from it, but sort of this serene acceptance of, okay, social media, this is junk food, a bunch of short form slop.
We actually have this theory, and we kind of call it this kind of incoming grass-fed internet movement. We believe that the same kind of thing is going to happen that happened with organic food. For the longest time, it was just this hippie thing. And then everything changed and everyone cared a lot about what they were putting in their body. And we believe that we're on the precipice of that on the internet.
Tyler Bainbridge is a former Meta engineer and the founder of a culture newsletter turned Gen Z MySpace-esque social media platform called Perfectly Imperfect.
We are a social curation platform. It's a place to share your taste. Our users have coined the term hope scrolling when it comes to the experience of scrolling on our app, because everyone's just sharing recommendations that, you can feel the love and the passion about what people are into. I was just fed up with algorithmic discovery, and it was kind of peak COVID, so I wasn't having those kind of great conversations at a bar or at a coffee shop when you have those kind of organic human moments where you discover things from real people.
Perfectly Imperfect is a platform where you can share recommendations for movies, artworks, emotions, music, books, furniture, and anything else you want. They also throw tons of concerts and events. How do the features of your platform differ from current social media?
You control your experience. Even if you follow people on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, you're seeing all kinds of different things that the algorithms decided to show you. We're giving that control back to the user.
And how many users do you have currently?
We have about 300,000 people that have signed up for the platform. The big shift came when algorithms were really trying to lock you in. There's a big court case going on about it right now for Instagram and YouTube.
In a recent social media addiction lawsuit, a jury in Los Angeles found Meta and Alphabet liable for $6 million in damages for negligent platform design and operation. This is a landmark case that could be a bellwether for future suits against social media platforms.
I just saw something crazy too, that Meta can understand what parts of your brain activate when you see any content, that a certain reel is gonna activate certain parts of your brain that are more incentivized to, make you share it with your friends. I think in the last 10 years, this has really taken over, and I think that's when we've shifted into the current internet, which is designed to keep you on your phone for hours and hours and hours.
So I know that a big part of your thing is that it's sort of a chronological feed. I guess my question for you is, what is an algorithm?
An algorithm, in the way that sounds scary to people, is not understanding why you're seeing something or having it be a little too eerily close to who you are as an individual.
I think the simplest way to describe an algorithm is just a set of instructions on how to serve up a certain type of content. And with machine learning, those instructions change based on what you see. The moment that we started moving toward following models, suddenly you had more content that you could consume in any realistic period of time. And an algorithm helps surface the things that it wants you to see.
Nathan Sharp is a former Meta product manager who helped create Instagram stories.
That whole project was like super fun and super fulfilling, but our favorite part of the project was actually the month before we launched the feature to the public. The only people that had the feature on their phones were the internal employees that were also our friends. When we looked back on it, we were like, man, that was so fun when it was just our friends.
He launched Retro in 2023, and they've been growing steadily despite having no follower list, advertisements, or algorithm. They recently hit #1 on the Taiwanese App Store.
And how many users do you currently have?
About 1.26 million active users. We felt like social had really gotten away from this point where it felt like a joy. We knew that the social landscape had evolved in such a place where we just, even though all of our friends were still on the social apps that we'd always used, they just weren't posting anymore.
Retro is basically a private social network. You retroactively share what you've been up to for the past few weeks. You can't see who other people follow or are followed by, and there's no way to see others' posts until you yourself post for that week. How do you balance retention with potential addictive feedback loops?
All retention doesn't have to be addictive. I think that addiction is oftentimes when people are spending time on something in ways that, like, either in the moment or afterward, they regret. We're out to prove that we can build a new social network in 2026, but we also really want to prove that we can build a viable, profitable business based on the subscription model, which we think really aligns the people building the product with the end users of the product and their intentions. If people spend 5 minutes or 50 minutes on the app, it doesn't necessarily translate to 10 times more revenue for us. We just want to build something that's valuable enough so that a lot of people use it, and that at least a portion of them subscribe to it to keep it viable.
How do you think about retention?
We obviously want people to use our app, but for me, I'm totally okay if people use it once a week and they get some great recommendations and then they go about their real life. We obviously want to build a retentive app. That's obviously fundamental to the business, but we're trying to find new ways to go about doing that rather than creating the kind of doom scroll, locking you into our app and making you feel like
Does social media bring you close to your friends?
I think it can, yeah.
Definitely.
I don't think so.
It can definitely bring you closer to your friends, yeah.
I feel like you have to do it kind of to keep in touch with people.
No, not closer to my friends.
It's all surface level. It's nothing like grabbing coffee with my best friend.
62% of the folks we surveyed did think that social media brought them closer to their friends. But they acknowledged that it was a bit complicated, with some users actually embracing the slop.
Recently, I've been watching lots of AI fruits.
Sometimes I watch those AI fruit videos.
Personally, I think social media is my greatest source of inspiration and also my greatest source of psychic damage. Every time I open Instagram Reels, I feel like I've waded into one of those poison swamps in Dark Souls, trawling through the algorithm for hours to find that single interesting and novel video. This is downstream of how modern social media algorithms are developed, taking inspiration from casino slot machines and optimizing for time spent on their platform rather than quality of content. But what does social media look like when you get rid of the recommendation engine?
You've got hundreds of people looking at you on Facebook and Instagram. And it's like you up on stage and you kind of show up, this is what I'm posting today. Whereas Retro, it's very curated. I only have like 7 or 8 people on Retro. Feels like living room, kind of cozy-esque vibe, but I think that's how social media should be.
I grew up on Tumblr, and what I loved there was the blog style form of posting that really let you peer into someone's inner world and slowly get a sense of how their mind worked. And it felt personal and a little messy and genuinely revealing of people. And I think that Perfectly Imperfect gives me some of that same feeling.
I've noticed algorithmically on Twitter, and part of the reason I left was because I started getting crazy stuff on my timeline, and I'm very careful to not interact with videos of stuff I don't want to see. I've seen porn and I was like, what is going on? What about me and my stats and my demographic is thinking that I want to see this stuff? I don't.
So why was it that you got off from social media initially?
It's all of the stereotypical reasons why people get off social media, probably body image issues. I would say Instagram, for example, is a very curated experience of yourself, and you're presenting what you want other people to see, and that's not very authentic.
I cannot say that I feel any more social or media after filming this video.